Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. We're continuing our work in Jeremiah chapter 7, his temple sermon. In the previous couple verses, the Lord had said that they are trusting in words of the lie, and then he began to explain how that is. And in verse 9, we saw that the people were violating both the great commandments. They were violating specific commandments against their fellow man, lying and committing murder, adultery, stealing, and especially they were violating the commandment against God by their idolatry and Baal worship. But now the Lord is going to continue with what he's saying. This is why they're words of the lie, because they were doing all these things, and then, well, that's what we're going to look at here in verse 10. So let's go ahead and read this verse in Hebrew as we get started. ובאתם ועמדתם לפני בבית הזה, אשר נקרא שמי עליו, ואמרתם ניצלנו, למען עשות את כל התועבות האלה. Wow. Now we get the whole point if we understand what's going on here. And you have come, or you come. Actually, this is more of an ongoing present tense. So this is probably, this is a perfect here by its form, probably a perfect consecutive. And this is the first conjugated verb actually in the main clause of the sentence that started at the beginning of verse 9 with all those infinitive absolutes. So, and you have come. This is a 2 MP. It's a cal from our verb ba or bo right here. So they have come. So you have come and you stand. Same analysis all the way through here. And you have stand before me. This is lifnei, so in the presence of me, with that patek yod right there, referring to God, in the house, in this house. Now remember, this is the house of which they were saying, this is the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord. And they're standing before God in this house after having done all these abominations in verse 9. You stand before me in this house, and this house which is called, now what do we have here? Well, we have a perfect, it's going to be a 3ms, but it's a nifal. You see the nun at the beginning from kara. So kara, which means to call, in the nifal it means to be called, which is called, which my name, literally what we have here, my name is the subject of the verb here. So this is shem with a pronoun suffix, first common singular. My name is called upon it referring back to the house, which, so this is sort of a resumptive pronoun. We're not used to seeing that in English, which my name is called upon it. So we would say upon which my name is called. And you say, as they stand there worshiping in God's house, and you say, nitzalnu. Now, this is a little bit complicated right here. What do we have here? This is a perfect, and it's a first common plural with this nun at the very beginning. It's a nifal, and it's from the verb natsal, and I'm going to put parentheses around it because natsal doesn't exist in the kal. It's often used here it's being used in the nifal. It's occasionally used in the PL, but usually in the hifil. And natsal means to deliver. So natsal in the nifal would be to be delivered. So this is a first common plural. We are delivered. We're saved. In other words, this is what they've been lying about, because they think that just because they're in God's house, they are safe, they are delivered. That's security. Maybe they're thinking back to the days of Hezekiah when God protected his city. But this is not the same kind of a situation back as was back in Hezekiah's day. So they think they're in safety here. In order, lema'an, so in order to do. So this frequently introduces an infinitive construct, which is what you have here. So this is an infinitive construct. It's a cal from our verb asa. We're used to seeing that, and you remember that your three hey verbs regularly go to this oath ending. This is not a feminine plural. This is basically how the infinitive construct takes its form with the three hey verbs. In order to do what? Here's your direct object marker. All the toevot. Well, this is actually toeva. This is a plural. It would usually end with a hey at the end, which means abomination, something which is detestable to God. And here it's plural. All the abominations, these ones. So all these abominations. And this is a very, very strong word showing God's utter abhorrence of the things that they were doing. So you can't come and stand before God with this blatant hypocrisy and doing all these other things and expect God to honor that and simply claim, oh, we're safe, we're delivered because of that. So this is very strong. Verses 9 and 10 are very, very strong. So let's hide our work here and look at a couple of translations as we go through this. And then looking first at the Tanakh, 1985, in the Jewish Publication Society. And then, because it's picking up after doing all these other things, and then come and stand before me in this house which bears my name, over which my name is called, and say, we are safe. And they repeat, safe. Safe to do all these abhorrent things. Sort of an exclamatory, you could almost put a question mark after that. This is just God's almost dumbfounded, if I could speak like that, by their presumption. Or another translation, the Christian Standard Bible, then do you come and stand before me in this house that bears my name and say, we are rescued so we can continue doing all these detestable acts. Now, I probably would have put the quotation marks right here with an exclamation point. I'm not sure the people are saying we're rescued so that we can continue doing it, but that's what they're doing. They are certainly continuing. They think they have this safe measure because of their worship, and yet they can continue to act the way they want to. And then the Net Bible, which is much more of a paraphrase on this verse, then you come and stand in my presence in this temple I have claimed as my own, over which my name is called. So they've kind of develop that out a little bit, which I have claimed as my own. And you say, we are safe. You think you are so safe that you go on doing all those hateful sins. So again, this is much more than a translation. It's definitely a paraphrase, but it's getting the right idea of what's going on here. When we come into God's presence as his people and are worshiping him, that is meant to change us. And if it doesn't change us, if it's not calling us into question and humbling us before him, something is drastically wrong. Something is drastically wrong here with God's people. And Jeremiah is trying to address that even right now. So very powerful words. We'll continue to watch how Jeremiah is going to unfold them in the following verses. So check back with us soon as we continue working through this marvelous chapter in the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.